All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes.
Episode 13?
Yes.
Or 14, let's see. Yes,
13, yeah.
JoJo
versus the ultimate life form. A bit pretentious, don't you think?
Don't you think? Yes. It's just a simple man that was in a... encased in a thing.
A stone and now can shapeshift into all that stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Saitama to me. You know? So.
Can't be that powerful then.
Exactly.
Alright, so I think one of the points that they could make from this episode in particular is try and find some way to connect it to all the masks. Like, not necessarily explicitly state how the masks being multiple ones are all connected here.
Right.
But the idea that this nemesis, this foe, will inexplicably explain, some kind of aspect of that.
Well, and
maybe Speedwagon will deduce what it is with his perfect vision powers.
Because he is everything out of his mouth is the word of God.
It's true.
But they kind of went into that a little bit in the fact that he was able to absorb another vampire.
Yes.
So it could be that, like, maybe he created them, or possibly more likely is that they were something that was a tool to create food.
Yes.
Like,
that makes a lot of sense. The idea that the vampires use their powers in a way to bring food to them. Right. These creatures could have used the vampires to bring food to them.
Exactly.
It's it's the food chain aspect of
That's right.
Is that there's always a bigger fish.
That's
and this
very
could be
true.
This could be a very annoying big fish.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of hoping that they do some sort of rampaging across the Nazi complex. Like I think that would be really cool to see. Like they're like the battle is epic and it just keeps moving around. And meanwhile, there are all these Nazis that'll be like doing their thing, and then like the wall explodes, and in comes Joseph and the Pillar Man.
Yeah,
and then they're just like
oh no, what have we done? I immediately regret my decision.
And then Speedwagon's like, quick, run! There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, Speedwagon saving Nazis. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know, but at the same time, Speedwagon doesn't seem to be in a great position physically.
Sure.
Because
good point.
He was kind of bandaged up and in a straitjacket.
It would be cool, though, if they found some way to utilize whatever way that this creature, like, stayed in stasis or lived for so long, to find a way to, like, rejuvenate Speedwagon, bring him back to, like, a younger version of himself or something stupid like that.
That would be totally stupid and awesome.
so JoJo's,
like, What if that was like a running thing where Speedwagon actually attained immortality?
Right.
And then
Okay, theories for after the video. But for right now, let's get into this episode and see what happens.
Nani?
Stroheim. Yeah.
But it's not from the mouth of Speedwagon, so we don't have to believe it.
That's true. Ha!
Okay. And the shadows over his eyes, just like he can't believe what's happening. Don't stop fooling around, please.
Yes, please don't.
Okay.
Actually
Hey,
think that makes sense.
Well, and that's also calling out all those other shows where it's like, oh no, this dangerous thing.
You reap what you sow. Wow.
That's true. It could be considered self-defense.
He put his fingers in his nostrils.
Wow.
Oh, whoa.
なんだこいつまるっきり俺を無視しやがってちょっとムッときたねよし 足を引っ掛けて転ばしてやる。
Don't do that. Oh, what the frick?
どうなったんだ。
Okay.
今の感触は一体我々の言葉をどうやったのか完全に
Yes, completely mastered the language already. That's maybe more of what you should be scared of.
すげえ。時計みたいに滑らかで正確な動作で銃を分解しちまった。おいこら、言葉がわかんなら返事ぐらいしろよな。ノックノックノック。危ないジョジョ。鬱陶しい。
Primitive.
He's like tugging on his ear. Oh,
Yeah.
what the frick? Oh, what the hell?
Okay.
バナ、あの男だけ特別なのか、それともこの時代の人間。
Oh, he's gonna find out.
Oh, that's...
Oh no!
No!
No, not
Nuh-uh.
Speedwagon!
やはりあの男だけ特別のようだ。ジョジョ、恐ろしい。じいさん、やる。
Yeah, you shouldn't have did that.
しやがれ。
Yep.
戦いたくなったぜ。てめえを博物館に飾ってやる。
Nice.
少しは進化。
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Alright. Alright.
てめえ、波紋をぶん投げしてやる。波紋で床の血が。
Whoa, what?
Okay.
波紋が効かねえ。レインコートの表面を雨が流れ落ちるように波紋がサンタナの体から地面へ流れ落ちて
Oh, okay.
反応している。うわ
What?
拳が
Did that just happen?
ある。
What? What?
なんて一瞬入って手首を内側に丸めたので助かったぜ。
Okay.
こいつには波紋が効かねえ。
Serious pickle. Oh.
ジョジョ、あの一への攻撃はしばらく呼吸ができん。呼吸か。血液で
Okay.
生じるエネルギーらしいな。しかし気絶していてはただの人間に過ぎないな。ジョジョ、
Oh.
呼吸をしろ。呼吸をするんだ。波紋の呼吸をしてくれ。ジョジョ、もうダメだ。こうなったら自爆スイッチを。待て、人の背面。
Oop.
慌てるんじゃねえぜ。
This is all part of my plan.
かけたんだ。
Yeah. Exactly.
ダメなら内部からだ。食う時なら直に波紋を流せると思ってんだ。ジョジョ、この取り込む時を待っていたのよ。
All according to Kakaku.
くらえ波紋。
Did
Nice.
it work?
At least a little bit.
I don't think so. I think he's just gonna regenerate.
Yeah, but it did something. It might not have any lasting effect.
Jeez.
Okay,
Yeah, but you
but
can't restrain him.
Yeah.
Because he'll just break himself and then slide out.
Exactly.
てめえ聞いてんのか。こいつは太陽に弱いのか。ジョスター、洞窟壁画の前に書いてある。サンタナは太陽に弱い。
That's...
太陽を克
Well, that would have been nice to
Oh,
know.
he made the mask to conquer the sun.
Interesting.
Oh, cool.
何をしているジョースター。外へ通じる扉を開ける。
Yeah, that's the point.
てめえ太 太陽の光でやっつけて何が何でもこの階段を登って
Do some sunbathing.
Exactly. This is where a bunch of grenades would be very helpful.
なんだ
He's starting to absorb
重
him.
いぞ
Yeah.
体が重いなんだこれはミートインベイド
Oh!
肉銀肉片
They're like
Oh.
leeches.
肉片が
Oh, that's gross.
取られる
What's this music?
This is his moment. He can go the rest of the way. Oh, he can open the door.
このストロハイムに任せてもらう
Yep, there he
Yeah.
goes. Oh.
ベンチのところだ
I'm on extend.
Yep.
おいジョースター一つ頼まれてくれるか
Chop off my leg.
今どうするか考えてんだ黙ってろ聞けそこの壁に斧が
Yep, yep, uh-huh.
Yeah.
届くかそれで俺の足を
Yep. Yep.
何
Nani?
そうすればあの扉に手が届く
Oh.
早くしろジョースター
Oh.
話すまね
Oh.
Is it actually gonna do it?
We'll see. Oh crap.
何俺の足の傷
Oh!
なんてこった波紋の使い主シュトラハイムの方に行くとは
Yep, and this is how he escapes the sun.
俺の体内に
Context.
なんて生き物だなんという生への執着足の傷口が痛くないんだ
Oh, that's
Okay.
シュトラハイム
that's creepy.
So now they'll have to fight a Nazi super vampire.
Yeah. He's gonna kill himself.
Yeah. Yep.
今まで見たのが究極の生物サンタナだこうなったら俺はもう助からん自分ごとこいつを吹っ飛ばす覚悟よしかし死ぬ前にお前に言っておきたいことがある今々しいが
You annoying Englishman.
我がドイツ軍は単なる軍事上の好奇心でサンタナを目覚めさせたのではないということ
Okay.
何こんな時にいきなり何を言い出す聞けいやお前は聞かなければならん宿命
This is
に
the plot point.
All right.
Ties to the future.
我が軍はサンタナの他に
Yeah.
Okay.
ヨーロッパの
Yep.
ある場所の地下から発見しているだから我が軍はこいつを実験し調査する
Okay.
必要があったのだ貴様は50年前からの因縁で奴らと戦わねばならない運命にあるジョースター貴様の波紋は弱すぎて
So you must get stronger.
ローマへ行けローマに行ってある人物に会うのだ
Whoa, okay.
All
ス
right.
ピードワゴンのよく知っている人物
Okay.
All right.
だがすぐに体を開けて太陽を拝ませてやるぜサンタナ
Do it, dude.
やめろ話はまだ半分だぜ
Poof.
Boom.
Fight might not be over, dude.
Might not be.
Oh crap.
数は死ぬのみだジョジョ呼吸を整えろ波紋の呼吸を
He's talking very differently from before.
Right. Oh.
どけお前は最初から 負け犬ムードだったのだ。てめえの次に吐くセリフは思い知ったか。
Yes!
思い知ったか。この原神が。
Oh, gotcha. The election. Oh, okay. Cool.
That is genius!
Nice. It's high noon. Oh, cool.
You could say he's in a pillar of sunlight right now. Holy crap.
Praise the sun.
Yeah, praise the sun, y'all. Oh, that was
good.
That was good.
This is moving along very quickly. Like,
right. They seem to be doing the thing where they'll have like that pseudo-episodic kind of villain thing where they spread that little antagonist's foe out a couple episodes, like 2, maybe 3.
And then, but each one ties into the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
So he could be going all around the world for a while,
could be.
chasing Pillarmen, essentially.
Where in
But
the world is Pillarman?
Who is in
Santviento.
Rome? Who is in Rome that Speedwagon
knows?
Is it one of Tom Petty's?
I think so.
Other people? I think it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Because there was
because there were 3. One of them died against Dio. One of them turned. So there should be one.
Tom Petty
left.
passed away.
Well, yeah, and Tom Petty passed away, but there were 3 other than him.
Right. So there's one left.
So there's one left.
Yeah, and I don't remember which one it was. They had some kind of...
I think it was the main one,
name.
not Strizo. Strizo was one of the 2
side ones.
Side ones, and then one of the side ones died.
Right.
Yeah.
Dyer.
Sounds about right.
Dyer was the one that died.
Yes.
That was the joke that we made.
Yes. So they're probably going to find the other one.
Yeah, there's a third one and stuff.
But now...
Okay. All right.
Now, one of the things that I find interesting...
But it might be someone that knows something that's not Hamon related, because he said your Hamon isn't strong enough.
That's
Go
true.
to Rome.
It could also just be that it needs to be trained how to use Hamon better, because he hasn't really been trained.
I think
He's just
so,
been
but I
using
think
his
it's more
natural
about some kind of technique
JoJo-ness.
with Hamon, not just doing the same things of Hamon stronger.
All right.
It's the idea of you need to do a specific type of Hamon technique.
Yeah. Final Hamon...
Like channeling the sun directly, like channeling the energy of the sun. You know?
Right.
It's like Superman, basically. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I thought was really cool was how they made it so that Santviento turned to stone when he was in the sun, which is reminiscent of Trolls, but it also sort of set him back to where he was at the beginning.
Right.
Which is pretty cool, because it's this idea of this foe that can't really be beaten, just sealed away.
Right.
Which means they could be brought back for later.
That's very true. It's also the thing of you don't have to come up with a reason as to why, we don't actually defeat him forever. It's just a part of the way his character works, just in the same way as he was in the plant cave formation, whatever that thing was. Yep.
Yeah.
Just this as well.
But I think the best scene in this episode has to be when Joseph shows up and just starts goofing off. Like, that was...
Happy, fun, nice to meet you, man! Like, that was so funny.
Oh
like, God. I can't imagine any type of, this is like the macho, dumb kind of, muscle on muscle fight. Hey, happy, fun, nice to meet you, man! It's kind of like...
That was just so good. Like...
It'd be kind of like if Joseph met, like, actual aliens, and they came down and they were all like, oh, we are aliens, and he's like, happy, fun, nice to meet you, man. It's like, JoJo, that doesn't work, like, all the time. Come on, man. Like, you never know if you don't try.
And I love that he mentioned that he's like, well, he might not necessarily be a bad guy. We've seen him attacking you guys, but you guys attacked him first, so,
That's true. I thought it was a very logical assumption. It's the idea that, like, they're primitives to him. He might not need to fight them, but Strawheim's like, no, he's a threat to mankind. You don't understand. And Speedwagon is like, JoJo, take this seriously. Come on.
Now, okay, but that thing that was mentioned there makes me wonder, what if one of the Pillar Men, not necessarily Santviento, but what if one of the Pillar men ended up being a main character buddy of JoJo?
Sure, possibly.
Like, I could kind of see that happening.
I think the idea, though, of the Pillar Men is that they are the fathers of vampires. They are the ones that made the vampires, essentially. They're the ones that made the masks. Mm-hmm. So I feel like by the nature of the vampires not necessarily going to be evil, they're a creature of darkness or something, that the Pillar Men are the same. They might be a more evolved form of human than, say, even Hamon wielders. But the idea that they would become good, I think, is a bit counterintuitive to their philosophy of eat and dominate and become stronger.
Okay, that is a good point. That is a good point. Like, I didn't really think about that.
Like, they're probably going to just go around and absorb as many people as possible.
After making people that can absorb other people.
Well, no, they can do that themselves.
Sure. Yeah.
They might just make other people...
Like, as a means of making it more efficient.
More efficient,
so you go out and suck up 100 people and come back, I have a reward for you.
I will... My reward for you is you get to be a part of the divine consciousness.
Exactly.
Yes, that is my body.
Yeah. Now, I was kind of surprised that they gave Stroheim the resident Nazi, like, basically goon character...
Right.
An actual, like, epic send-off. Like...
Right, that was very odd. I'm like, oh, it's not going to be Speedwagon because he's old and tied up.
Exactly.
He doesn't really know as much about these Pillar Men in particular as Stroheim does, because Stroheim came here with prior knowledge. That's why they're doing the experiments.
Right. Although you could posit that Speedwagon doesn't actually need prior knowledge. He just has to start talking in it. And
that is true.
And it becomes true.
That is true. The minute Speedwagon speaks, it becomes reality.
Yeah.
But Stroheim actually might have chosen this area of the world because it's drenched in sunlight.
Sure, yeah. It's basically
also close.
Abandoned.
It's also close to the place where they found it, of course. But
and it's separated from the other ones by a large body of water. So,
but you got to wonder, is it kind of the idea that at every ancient location, Pillar Men were there?
Sure.
So
I can see that happening. I mean,
like Rome is kind of it's not really ancient, actually, now that I think about it.
Right, it was more of just long-lasting.
Well, no, Rome was kind of from the idea of like 2,500 years ago to about 1,500 years ago. That was the Roman Empire. It almost lasted 1,000 years. But the Incan, like Mayan times and stuff like that, that goes way far back.
Right.
So the one that they found in Europe, I'm kind of curious.
Well, and they said there were many in Europe.
Well, they found multiple. It wasn't just one.
Yeah.
So there's some old castles. There's also some old Nordic areas where we get
maybe the Pillar Men were like the, like Odin and Thor and stuff were actually just Pillar Men.
That's actually a great thought, is they could retcon history in this and show the Pillar Men as being some of the deities that were worshipped by these ancient civilizations. I'm trying to think, though. Europe, as a continent, doesn't have very, very old civilizations. Like, nothing...
Not really.
Nothing that's really, really big as far as I know.
Europe's pretty small.
Well, it's not only that it's really small, it's that the kind of the natural kind of spreading of kind of humanity from like specific areas and stuff, it seemed like that area had more or less kind of the hunter-gatherer type kind of groupings for a very long time, like way late into human history. Whereas in other areas of the world like China or the Middle East, we had civilizations popping up that were a lot more advanced for the size. I mean, Rome is kind of the most prominent one. Now that I think about it.
Their Roman culture is pretty widespread.
Well, no, but the idea that for its time, Rome was extremely advanced.
Aqueducts and all that, yeah.
Right, but we have other groups like the Sumerians who, invented writing. And
Wait.
it's the wheel.
Sue's married someone already? But she's still in high school.
Shut up, Jacob. But I'm curious to see what these sites will be that they go to in Europe. It'd be funny if they were trying to retcon World War II in a way by saying that the Pillarmen were the reason why
World War II happened,
started, or even
sure that like the whole thing of like Germany like acquiring land was actually trying to acquire the key locations where the Pillarmen were,
like Austria being one of the first ones. So
sure,
that could be interesting. I could actually see the Alps in particular being a good burial place for one of these Pillarmen.
Oh,
because it's one of the central mountainous regions in Europe that is not heavily populated. If you think about the amount of mountains there versus the amount of people, it's like Switzerland and Austria.
Right, yeah, I think that's the main reason why the whole idea of like unearthing ancient civilizations in Europe seems a bit less likely, is because it's smaller and there's a lot of people there. So,
well, nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, well, good point.
And even back then, there were a bunch of different countries and cultures and stuff. I'm talking about like 2,000 years prior to that.
Sure, yeah. But like, if I were to think like any ancient civilizations that would be in Europe, even around, this time of World War II, you'd think they already would have been discovered,
Right.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to see what they come up with that. There's some things I think they could do. It'd be really fun. But this was basically a good fight episode.
Even though most of it was talking.
But it
didn't feel like it. Like,
it really didn't, because the one time they got close to kind of generic, kind of dull stuff, they made it funny by showing the stats of the rib, the rib bones attack. Okay,
what?
It's like this is the range and the amount of pressure that it can put on.
As far as ways to like exposit about some new terrifying technique, like having random techniques be named in anime, like that's one thing. But this is going beyond that. This is saying like, this is how much damage it does. This is the level of CC it can do and for how long, the range. It's like, that's gold.
And the best part is
gold.
They did it for a character that was killed in the same episode as when they actually showed the technique, stats, and everything like that. They did that, though, for Strizo when he jumps and when he grabs the wall after he had just regenerated from JoJo running away. There's a part where they showed the stats for that. So maybe that's a thing that we'll see going forward, is they're more just getting us kind of prepared for that. And here's the funny thing. Mm-hmm. It's opening the show up to a lot of scrutiny, because if you start throwing out numbers like that, there's going to be some mathematician out there that's like, the Pillarmen were actually the strongest of all of them because the grip strength of their attacks was this much per square inch, whereas these guys in the future...
it's the whole thing of calculating, like, actually Goku is technically stronger than Superman.
Right. They now are giving the means for power levels to actually be a thing without actually having them
direct power level.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Also, I gotta tip my hat off to JoJo's in a way. They keep bringing up environmental things that if you were paying attention, you could have predicted them to use that as an advantage in the fight.
Which is fantastic, because one of the most like boring things that can happen in a shonen is when it turns into just, let's go to a blank landscape and just launch energy blasts at each other and see which ones wins.
Right. Like, that is so dull. Like, you need a whole lot of good character stuff to make that actually interesting.
Right.
Like, you need way more. Whereas this, they transitioned the environment here and there as they realized that things weren't going their way.
Right. And they make there be things like actual things of like bits of strategy. Like, okay, he punches him in, I think it was the solar plexus is the idea. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh no, he can't really breathe right now.
Right.
So, his Hamon's weaker. It's because battles are not just won by who is strongest.
Right.
There's all kinds of other factors.
There's the actual ingenuity of the people. There's the speed.
Right.
And there's the moment-by-moment choices that dictate the flow of things.
Which makes this way more interesting, because then it's not as clear-cut of what's going to happen.
Right. Also, by having these other characters be involved in the fight, even though they're not necessarily...
Just sort of talking the whole time?
They're just kind of talking the whole time. You actually are genuinely afraid as to who could die. because
Sure.
Speedwagon could have died right there, where he
Right.
like stuck the fingers in his head and was like testing it out. He's like, no, this human is unique. I was like, don't you dare kill Speedwagon.
And to be fair, Speedwagon has a little bit of plot armor right now, I would say, because they already killed him, but he didn't die.
Yes.
So
yes, just a little bit, but I wouldn't say more than like 10 episodes worth.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
Because that would suck so much if Speedwagon dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with them kind of giving the very overt, here is your next quest.
Exactly.
Joseph Joestar, go and seek out the man at Rome. Mm-hmm. Good luck knowing exactly who it is or anything like that, because I didn't tell you anything.
But when in Rome,
Speedwagon will know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So, is this going to become a Speedwagon and JoJo travels around the world adventure?
I hope so.
Because
that sounds awesome.
That sounds fantastic.
That sounds so good.
That sounds so good. Because one of the things that I'd say JoJo does pretty cleverly is they have this sense of wonder about everything.
I was literally just about to say that.
Really?
Yep, I was thinking of those exact words.
Yeah.
And even though it's a shonen, which is more like focused on the action, but because everything's so just over the top, they can do that. And but wonder is one of those things that you usually get from like an adventure type story.
Yes.
And hey,
this is called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Right.
So going around to different places? Oh yeah.
Yes, please. Also, having it be done in such a way to where we'll get to see how our characters interact with each other when there is no threat. It's the idea that JoJo and Speedwagon, we saw them when they were on that plane and it got hijacked and stuff.
Right.
And Speedwagon's like, oh no, they got blood on that suit that Erina gave him. He's going to be passed. You pissed him off. Yeah. It's those kinds of things where we go, we're going to see the interaction between them. Because I actually really loved, in particular, the first episode with Joseph, where Erina and him are at the restaurant.
That was so great. And
they're talking, and she's like, go kick his ass, but
just mind the other
customers. And he's like, all right, ready, here we go. And now we get to see Bro Speedwagon.
Exactly. Speedwagon's like the super cool uncle.
Right.
You know, that's going to be going around with Joseph. And that's just...
And they could be Joe Bros together.
Joe Bros?
Joe
yes,
Bros.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bro Joes.
Bro Joes or Joe Bros. Exactly.
Joe Bros sounds... I'm not sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But having the story move at this clip of a pace, I wouldn't mind if it actually got repetitive. One of the things that's kind of clever about this is they've set it up to where there's kind of two-parter episodes here and there.
Yeah, about that.
Maybe three.
Yeah.
But I would say it's closer to two. And by having those mini plots basically resolved in that fashion, we can then basically know that, hey, even if this little mini plot isn't that interesting, it's only going to last 2 or 3 episodes.
Right. And one of the things...
Even this carried over with Jonathan's storyline as well.
It did.
I'd say his were 3-parters, but...
And one of the things that I would say is very important when doing some sort of episodic, or semi-episodic thing like this, is keeping the audience on their toes, which JoJo's does very well.
Very well.
Not just by having everything be so bizarre, but also by making it so that you're not sure when exactly it's going to get resolved and when it's going to end.
Yes.
In the one of the biggest problems I have with something like any kind of murder mystery, cop drama, whatever, is that they're going to resolve everything in this episode, and you know what it is that's going to be resolved. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
So you know how it's going to go, and then you're strictly watching it for the banter. But with this, because one, the things that happen are so weird, and also because it's not clearly defined when things are going to start and when they're going to end. It feels more like an adventure.
It does. It does. There's an aspect of our own wonder as we go, wait, so what's going to happen next? And it's not just what's going to happen next, it's like, what are they going to say next? What are they going to do next?
Because
what's going to happen to them next?
Yeah.
Because you know that some bad thing is going to happen
and somehow
to Joseph,
they're going to
and somehow he's going to figure it out.
But
But the
by
how,
keeping
the
it
when,
so,
the
yeah.
what, all that, no idea.
Because they are keeping it each one very, very different from the others.
Right.
Which is impressive. I don't
Right.
know.
I'm fine with repetitive structure because they have no problem with avoiding repetitive content.
Yes, exactly. And that's tough to do. Like,
very tough to
major props to them for doing this. There's what 116 episodes of this or something
no
like that,
idea.
and they're able to maintain this kind of like, even if some of the stuff is very similar to other parts and things
Sure.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
but making it so that it still feels fresh.
I mean, we're in the very beginning, Jake.
Yes, that's true.
We haven't seen anything yet.
That's true.
So I guess we'll just have to, wait and see how that stuff goes.
Yeah.
But we're looking forward to it.
Oh, boy, yeah.
It's one of those shows right now where
It's so much fun.
I feel like I'm glad we're not watching it really fast.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
I get to savor these little moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because JoJo's seems to have an escalation thing that's very common in shonen, but kind of its own kind of over-the-top escalation where the difference between the way Jonathan handled things and Joseph handled things, Joseph is an escalation on Jonathan.
Right.
So I'm guessing that
Even if
as
they didn't do a
Joseph
power escalation.
grows, he's going to escalate on himself, and the show could get even crazier
Plus
the
ultra.
longer it goes. So if we watched it all really quickly, we wouldn't have appreciated
Yes,
the
exactly.
less crazier moments in the beginning because they would get outclassed by something crazy later.
Right. And that's probably what a lot of people were talking about when they're like, okay, the first part isn't all that, like, it's the weakest part, but because we haven't seen the later stuff, we're like, oh, this seems great.
Yeah. Right. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. If you want to watch the next episode of our JoJo's reactions, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Get on early access, check out the Discord. We'd love to chat with you about stories and stuff. And yeah, we'll see you all later. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.